Good morning. Clearly it was a little bit of a rough night, but get ready with me for work while we talk about some of my earliest pregnancy symptoms that I had. I understand that not everybody's pregnancy is the same and they don't start the same, symptoms aren't the same, stuff like that. So we're just going to go over what my symptoms were and how I knew that I was pregnant, possibly even before seeing the tests. You'll have to forgive me, I'm a little bit sick. I'm trying so hard to get over this thing. It's really annoying, it's really frustrating, but yeah. So my first pregnancy symptom ever was with my son. So with him, I kind of just knew I was pregnant before I had any other symptoms, because my boobs, it hurt so bad. Like, I could not wear shirts. I had a hard time like getting ready in the morning, putting bra on. Like, I was in so much pain. And I had taken a test and it was negative. And then I had a doctor's appointment for something else, and I brought it up to my doctor, like, hey, I've been having like this really intense pain. Not necessarily pain, but yeah, it was just so sensitive. And he was like, is there any chance you could be pregnant? And I was like, well, it's possible. So he took a test, and even at the doctor's office, like, it was negative. It wasn't as bad with the next two, so like with Gracie and then with this one, that hasn't been as bad of an issue, which I'm also thankful for, because that really sucked, and my husband would just hear me complain about it over and over and over again. One of the other symptoms that I had was, obviously, I was using the washroom quite often. Like, I felt like I just had to pee all the time. So that was pretty self-explanatory. One of the other early symptoms that I had is I have been exhausted from very early on with all of my pregnancies. So with my son, when I was pregnant with him, I think I was in bed at like 7:30, and then I would sleep until pretty much the next day. Like, physically just exhausted. And it's been the same, I think, with the other two pregnancies as well. The only difference is that since having my son, obviously I have other kids that I need to be responsible for, especially in the evenings. This time around, my husband has helped me out a lot, because I'm so physically tired, even right now, that he's taken on a lot of the like bedtime responsibilities with the kids, which has been really wonderful. But that was another like surefire, like, I was like, oh my god, like, I'm tired all the time and I can't get enough sleep, I can't get enough rest, I just feel wiped. And then along with that, trouble sleeping, it kind of also goes hand in hand with the constant running to the washroom. So that was another one. I had a hard time sleeping. I just kept waking up, whether it was weird dreams or just having to use the washroom all the time. Some days I would have a really hard time just sleeping. One of my earliest symptoms was the gag reflex. If I would walk past the garbage can and it stank, like, so we have kids, there's diapers, sometimes they're in the garbage can, and it reeks, and I was like, no, I can't take it out, I can't go near it, like, I am going to throw up, so don't make me do that, please. Or certain foods would trigger it. Like, I think if I smelled eggs for a while, that was something that I just like, no, couldn't, like, no, stay away. One of the other ones that I've kind of had on and off in the beginning and then throughout pregnancies is heartburn or like acid reflux. That was another one of mine. I think more so in this pregnancy than the other two, possibly just because I've dealt with it before. I'm not 100% sure. One of my other ones was lovely acne. I'm somebody who's been very blessed skin wise. Like, I get some acne, especially like around time of the month and stuff like that, but it's never, I know people who have it a lot worse than what I do, so I consider myself very blessed. But that was definitely something that I had noticed. One of my very, very first symptoms, apart from the chest pain or nipple pain or whatever, is I dealt with some cramping, and it kind of felt like your period was coming, but it just never really showed up. And it wasn't as bad. Like, I get really bad period cramps, although actually I feel like they've maybe gotten better since giving birth to my son. So a little bit crampy, but nothing ever kind of came from it. Along the cramping lines, so something that I personally have dealt with in all of my pregnancies, I've had spotting throughout like a good chunk of the first trimester. With my son, I had spotting on and off until about 20 weeks in, and like not a lot, just a little bit here and there with some cramping. So we've obviously had to do more ultrasounds than probably normal because we wanted to make sure that everything was okay. With him it was, with my daughter it was, with this one hopefully it is. I kind of think that it has something to do with the way that my cervix is. I know with my son, when we went and got checked, my doctor had said you have a really angry cervix. So like, I mean, that could be part of it because all the ultrasounds don't show anything. Like there's nothing that anybody can really see. It's just kind of something that happens to me, I guess. One of the other ones that it kind of started happening before, but not really. But it was definitely a pregnancy symptom that it shows up for me a little bit earlier, is being clumsy and forgetful. And then it just gets worse as the pregnancy goes on. So I am somebody, like right now, I'm having such a hard time with this because I literally am dropping everything. I can hold something in two hands and it'll fall on the floor. No idea why. I won't hit anything, nothing will bump it, nothing, like I cannot keep anything in my hands. And then forgetfulness is another one. So when I was pregnant, especially with my son, like I just remember these so vividly. I left my keys in the car all the time. Like I would come home from work and I would turn off the vehicle, but I would leave my keys in the ignition every single day. And then I'd like get ready to go to work in the morning. I'm like, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Yep, they're in the car. So that's something that for me has only gotten worse as the pregnancy progresses. But some of it starts a little bit earlier on. But I don't think that was a symptom that I necessarily noticed like before the pregnancy test. One of the other ones, this one kind of goes along with, obviously there's the gag reflex, but all of a sudden, like I had a super nose. Like I could smell everything. And I mean, I still can like throughout the pregnancy, but that was definitely one of the first symptoms. And then of course, one of your most typical pregnancy symptoms, especially early on, the nausea or like morning sickness is what it can be referred to as. For me, I have never had morning sickness where I'm throwing up. I think within all 3 pregnancies, I threw up one time, and that's just because I was taking iron supplements and they didn't sit well with me, and it was once. But the nausea is so stupid. Like I would feel sick all the time. That one kind of sucks. Sometimes I feel like when I feel nauseous, it almost feels like it would just be better and easier to just throw up and get it over with. But I know that's not how it works in pregnancy because then you're still dealing with it like all day. So one of the other ones, this is kind of TMI and I'm dealing with this right now too. The extra mucus or gunk that like sits in the back of your throat. To me, it did happen a little bit early on in this pregnancy, I think, but I'm dealing with it a lot more right now, and I've noticed that it gets worse as the pregnancy progresses as well. Like sometimes I will wake up and I'm just like gagging. Like it is so gross, and there's nothing that I can seem to do to fix it. It's awful. Don't recommend. I personally am somebody, I've dealt with headaches throughout my pregnancies. Definitely one of my earliest symptoms was just headaches that would just nonstop. Another one along kind of with that is like there would be random moments that I would get lightheaded or dizzy. I don't know, maybe I wasn't eating enough or drinking enough. It was just something I think I had noticed in this pregnancy a little bit earlier on, especially with being super exhausted and then you kind of overexert yourself without maybe realizing it because you're trying to do everything that you used to be able to do. And I've always been a little bit iron deficient, so that probably doesn't help. I think the last one that I wanted to share was, this one's another common one, like obviously bloating, stuff suddenly isn't fitting anymore for no reason. It's kind of a very similar, like I think lots of women bloat during like their period. So it's not something that like screamed, oh, pregnant, but definitely something that I had noticed. And I showed very early, even with my first, it was pretty easy to tell even by the 13 weeks that I was pregnant. And so with each kid, I've shown more and more. So it's harder to hide as each kid came along. So it just happens a lot faster, whether it's bloating or whatever. My body's already used to, oh, this is what needs to happen, so we're gonna just push it along. I know when I was pregnant for the first time, I like to look up different videos on what different people would experience because everybody's experience is so different. Everybody's symptoms are different. Not one pregnancy I think is the same as the other. Even for me, all of my pregnancies have been very different from one another. So I just wanted to kind of pop on, share a little bit of my experiences. If you're experiencing some of these early pregnancy symptoms, maybe it's time to take a test If the test is negative, try again in a week. I don't know your situation. Let me know if you guys have had any really bizarre first like pregnancy symptoms, because my first one totally threw me for a loop. Like I was so shocked at that one. Everything else I kind of was like, okay, that's probably pretty average. But so let me know if you've had any that are like really, really strange. Thanks for watching. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me this morning talking about early pregnancy symptoms. Hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys have a good week. I think some of my next videos will be more so talking about like my worst pregnancy symptoms that I've had throughout all of them, and some of my best ones probably the week after. I'm trying really hard to keep to a schedule, but it is not always possible because I have 2 young kids and I am pregnant, so I'm tired. So if you're interested in some of those videos, maybe subscribe, get notified, because they will be on their way at some point. So thanks again. See you guys soon.